Hey guys, welcome back to the next episode in the series of Introduction to Competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! This episode, I'm joined by my two teammates and friends, the DB Grinder, Austin Collin. What's up, Austin?
Yo, nothing much. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm here, I guess.
Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. Today, we are going to be going over building your deck for an event. We're going to cover what deck do you want to play, what event you're building that deck for, the difference between building a deck for each event, because you will make some changes based off the event, and then once you've made your deck, what do you do to refine it? So first things off is let's go and pick what deck we want to play. So going off the today's meta, let's create the 5 decks that we want to think about picking. We have the spreadsheet here that we showed in the last video that gives us an idea what the meta is. This is the most recent regional topping decks. So if you guys had to pick 5 decks you wanted to possibly pick from to build a deck, what 5 decks would you want to focus on and why?
So we got Draco Tail, we got Vanquish Soul, we got Yummy Radiant Typhoon Tri-Brigade, there's the Yummy Fiendsmith, and there's also Yummy with the Dark Magician, like as a Mina package of it.
Okay.
And then what was the next question? After the 5 decks?
Why did you pick those decks? Do you think there was any other deck you could have possibly chose from, or no?
Yeah. Magnet Warrior. I think that deck's cool too. Like those are the decks that like I've mainly been looking at. And one good thing about like going to an event, or one important thing about going to an event, is playing a deck that you're comfortable with. Like, if you have to choose between like some random deck, like let's just say Malice or Draco Tail, and you're like, okay, Draco Tail's the better deck, but I know how to play Malice better. You should just play Malice because you know how to play it better, and you're gonna be able to outskill people. Correct.
Yeah, love that. Ruja, what about you? What 5 decks do you think we should consider for building for this upcoming format for as a new player trying to get into competitive Yu-Gi-Oh?
Like relatively the same, like pure Draco Tail, Vanquish Soul, like your Yummy variants. I don't really particularly like the Radiant type versions, so probably just the Fiendsmith and like the Dark Magician as Amina stuff. But I'd also probably look into Striker. I think that deck's been like doing well recently, and it's something you'd want to look into as a newer player, especially with this like new legendary decks. It's like affordable, all the staples and everything.
Yeah, that's definitely a great option as far as the affordability of playing the game. There's also some weirder options out there, your rogue options. There is your Lunalight that is available to play if people wanted to play that. There is, as Austin said, Malice. We had, oddly enough, Rescue Ace win Fort Worth, Texas regional. I haven't really looked at that list, so I don't know how relevant that is in the current meta, but a rogue option for people to look at. And just because we listed those 5 decks to play doesn't mean there's more. There's other decks that you could play that are rogue, and the benefit of playing them is that no one knows what they really do or prepared for them. Now that you've narrowed it down to like the 5 decks of the format that you're kind of playing against or focusing on, wanting to play and expect to play against, let's narrow down to pick what deck we would want to build, one for this video and for the upcoming format. And if you choose something different, that's fine. What we're going to do is show you guys how we would go through building the deck, and you can apply that to any which deck you chose out of the options available during your current format. So we listed our 5 decks, guys. What deck do you guys want to build for this video that we think, yeah, I'd be comfortable taking this to a YCS or a regional or locals?
Say like Draco Tail.
Yeah, like pure Draco seems pretty chill.
Okay, so with Draco Tail, there's obviously the Magistus and the Magistus branded, just Magistus, just branded. Let's go ahead and focus on a Draco Tail variant. Now let's go through and see which lists have tops so we can get an idea of how other people built those decks. So going off the spreadsheet, we have Frederick, Maryland. Doesn't look like there's any lists available from that one that topped. However, going off of Little Rock, Arkansas, we have a couple. So let's go ahead and look at the first one.
For building for Jacob, though, we can probably just copy Jesse's list from the last like YCS, right? I don't think anything's really changed.
Yeah, you can definitely copy off of
Like we can
one of the
go
goats
off
for
of
sure.
it as a base. Probably a better start than a random regional.
True. So let's go ahead and go into Jesse Gon's one. All right. So obviously this is a good list to go off of as far as picking, hey, you should test this one out because it's played by the most winningest YCS champion we have now, and it's obviously a good list. So let's go ahead, and what you can do is you'll download the YDK, go over to Dueling Book that you just lost connection to, look at your scroll format deck, and then go over to a new deck, and then we will go ahead and import the YDK, or Branded Dracotail. And here we are. So now, obviously, this is a good starting point. Now, let's say you wanted to do something a little bit different than this. Something that I like to do when building a deck is, obviously, we'll put those all back in eventually, the side deck. I like to come down here and put down cards that we possibly could be playing more of, or in addition or substitute from our main deck. So, okay. We have this here. We can play 2 of this, 2 Fallen of White and the 1 OG, or the 3 Fallen of White. We could increase our number of Ecclesias. We can increase our number of Cartesias. We have more options of possibly playing more or less FTVs. Horn has been in and out of people's main decks. What hand traps we want to play? Is Droll the one we want to pick? We want to have other options such as Nibiru. Do we want to have more engines such as Pan? Let me put in Dracotail. Dracotail Pan, have another one of those in there. Do we want to have another Charmy in our main deck? Charmy. So we have a list, and we're kind of down here putting in more options to put into our main deck. Obviously, we want to try to keep it as close to 40 as possible. Some decks, not as easy to do that. Obviously, there's also decks that are playing 60 cards. Those are definitely options for you as well if you want to go through that. For this list, we're not doing that. So we're just going off of the options we have. Is there any other cards you guys want to think about adding to this deck that people could possibly be playing? Another idea.
Ghost Bow.
Like effect negation, like Baylor.
Definitely a good main deck option. You could also have Imperm. Even though I don't think we would main that, it's probably going to come down to our side.
You can consider like Magnamut for the Magnamut. You can search for one of your big dragons.
All right, love that. Anything else? I think that's probably all the options I would want to consider for this deck in the current format right now. Obviously, if we wanted to play Magistus, we could redo this entire deck. But if we're sticking to just a pure Dracotail strategy or a branded Dracotail strategy, we'd probably not do that. All right, so now we are at a point where we have all of our options of something to consider for the main deck down here. Let's go through and check our extra deck just to see if there's anything we want to change through. One option that people have played is the Exciton Knight over the SP. 2 Albion the Branded Dragon. There's been back and forth between 1 and 2 some people's lists I've seen. This guy I know is showing up in a lot of people's lists now. It's becoming more standard. 3rd Arthalion hasn't really been played as much for people. Mysterion seems to be making its way back into people's decks, with Yummy making it back into the format. Most extra decks for people for these decks.
There's also like Sanctifier that you can add into the extra deck, like the Albion the Sanctifier dragon, the Sanctifier, that guy.
I didn't even notice that wasn't in here.
It's like more optional and pure.
Most of the time when it comes to an extra deck, the extra deck for the most part has roughly 10 to 13 cards that are almost standard through every list you'll see. There'll be some variations between them, but a lot of the lists will have cookie cutter extra decks, which is good for players trying to learn a new deck or get into competitive. They'll know exactly what they need to pick up. Is there any other cards in the extra deck we think we might want to pick as a different option for this format right now?
I feel like it's all solid, the choices that we have there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now that we've shown our options as to what extra deck cards we can play, let's go ahead and say what event we're building this for now. We have our pretty much our skeleton made for the deck. More options for in our side deck currently to go up to our main deck, and our extra deck pretty much made. What event are we going to? Let's say it was locals. How would you guys build your deck for a local? Rudro, I'll go to you for this one.
Like you want to generalize your non-engine a little more. Like you probably would main deck troll and such, and like you're going to locals, you're probably better than your average player, so you want to max your consistency in your deck.
Okay.
Probably play like one more pan or something.
Okay.
You can overwhelm your average player with just engine.
Okay. And obviously, you can say that because you're better than the average player. Is that what you're trying to say? Trying to flex right now? Flexing even in the YouTube video?
5 minutes and pan breaks most boards. What can I say?
That's fair. Austin, how would you build your deck for locals? What would you want to focus on?
I agree with what he said for sure, but like, let's just assume, you know, let's say I'm a bot, right? And
Okay.
I'm not better than the average
Bot?
player.
Get
You know,
good, bro. Get good. Get good, bro. Get.
You know, maybe you know, something good about like the local regional scene or even like early YCS rounds is like, you know, you may not be great, but your opponent might not be great either. So something like hand traps and non-engine, people like get hurt by these cards more because they don't know how to play around them as well or play through them as well. So like, I don't know, maybe play more non-engine in the deck. But I do agree with what he said too. Like if you play like something like more pan, like you can just start cracking boards, and if you make the game states more complicated for the opponent, and they're not as good in the grind game as you could potentially be if you playtest a bunch, then you can end up overwhelming them for sure.
All right.
Especially in a deck like Draco Tail, where I think like the more engine you have, the more ability you have to play the game, the better you'll be. Like
Okay.
this deck's like you have an engine board breakers with Brawl for you and your power spells. Like 5 mana is probably the best hand trap in the game right now. It's like paired with the big dragon.
All right. So here's what I've built off, kind of going off of using both of your ideas. One thing that I also like to do if you are going to a local is more often than not, you know the people you're playing against the second you sit down and you know what you're playing against right away. Every time I sit down against one of my friends at locals, I already know, all right, I'm playing against Dragotail. All right, I'm playing against Malice. All right, I'm playing against Yummy. You'll know what rogue decks are there, you'll know what meta decks are there, and you can kind of build your deck to have an out to, say if you don't expect Lunalite at locals, you probably won't have a Lunalite, a Liger Dancer out in your deck. But if you're going to a regional, you might want to have one. So obviously, you can build your deck off of the specific people there. Moving on, let's say if we're heading to a regional now. What would you guys do to change up your deck building for the regional?
I mean, I think I'd build it basically the same for like a local and a regional.
Okay.
To be honest, I don't think I'd do like very many changes between the two.
Yeah, I agree with Austin. Like they're relatively the same level of competition. Like you might see like one like really good player here and there, but like you'd still want like your deck to be relatively the same.
Okay. So we'll say this is kind of the idea of what we're going to go for our regional deck. We got a remote regional coming up. Austin, you have a regional tomorrow, you said, right?
Yes, but I'm not playing it.
Okay, let's say you were. This is your regional deck. Now that we have what we're going to play for the regional, let's bump it up to the next event. We're going to let's just say we're going to YCS Vegas, right? Let's just say it's not a team YCS because that can throw off your deck building a little bit differently. Let's just say we're doing a standard normal YCS coming up soon. What would we want to do differently about how our deck is built for this event, for a YCS versus how we have it built for a regional and locals?
So like at a YCS, you know, now now, like, I guess it depends what your goals are for the tournament too. But assuming that your goal is to like top 8 the tournament or win the tournament, you know, you're gonna want like a consistent deck. You're gonna wanna, you know, you're gonna want to have a deck that's also good into the meta decks that we had talked about earlier.
Okay.
Where if you play like a regional or local, you know, you're gonna play against the meta decks too, but you might also play against some like off-brand stuff. You know, you gotta be kind of prepared for those decks.
Okay.
Your like first 5 rounds of a YCS will be like similar to your first 5 rounds of like a regional tournament. Just like after that, like you start to face more like meta decks and like more quality players.
Okay. Now, would you guys say there's a difference between building your deck to top the event versus building your deck to win the event?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I would say so too. I think it became like a little bit less relevant when they changed it to from top 32 to top 8.
Yeah.
But
It's like your definition of topping, right? It's like if it's top 32, it's a little different. Top 8, like, yeah.
Let's go off the concept of, let's say top 32 is your top. You got your prizing, that's your top, you're happy with that, and that was your goal. So we would build it a little bit differently for each one. How would you build it to say you're going in, that you're winning the event, anything else is a failure?
You'd probably make more like high roll deck decisions in terms of like your choice of non-engine or such.
Okay, Austin,
Yeah,
any
I agree with that.
Okay, so what would we do to change our deck to say we're winning the next YCS? How would we update this?
I put the 3rd trap in the main.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything we'd want to cut from this?
I don't think you would play him. Yeah, I also think you'd cut a Ecclesia down to 1. I think that card's like a weak normal summon of Flawless, and going second, Excite on Knight's pretty fake.
Okay. What would we want to put in? Would we want to put in the 3rd Cartesia that has been going around? Do we want to put in another hand trap? Maybe this Magnamut? Maybe another FTV?
I think you play the 2nd FTV. It comes up, especially in the pure deck.
So now that we have what our main deck looks like, which is oddly enough just went back to Jesse Cotton's list, we're going to ignore that part.
Ooh. I wonder why. Ooh.
I wonder why. Well, now that we have our list for the event, what some people will do is, all right, this is the deck I've built to win a YCS. Me personally, I don't like having to change my decks for each tournament as far as like going to locals every week versus playing at a YCS. If I know my YCS list, I'm probably just taking it to locals. You guys can probably end up doing the same. Now, let's go ahead and get rid of everything down here that is the extra cards that could have been in our main deck. And now let's go ahead and refine our side deck. Well, let's say we want to have our going first cards. With siding, that's really easy right now as far as picking your going first cards. How many Charmies are in your main? That's how many going first cards you need in your side. It's the easiest cheat sheet, if you will. So we have a 3 Fua in the main. What 3 going first cards would you guys want?
Steak and a rouse.
Yeah, I was about to say that card's pretty good right now.
Okay.
Like, there's different options, like especially in Draco Tail, you can put like Fenris and such for like 3 Kelsey, and it's like another body.
Okay.
Like, I think Fenris fine.
All right.
Yeah, there's like a lot of options. There's like Fenrir.
Staying rest.
Yeah.
Yeah, extra
like,
Cartesias.
Yeah, extra
Prosperity, I've seen Prosperity run around. Like extra consistency, I think Draco Tail's a deck when you get to play the game, you're more than likely winning the game.
Okay.
The issue is just playing.
Okay. We have options for going first. I'm going to do this just to get them out of here. These are our options of cards that we could have for going first. We'll update the numbers of those when we get to that point of final decisions. What about what cards we want for going second? Pretty much, if you're playing Charmies, Fua's in the main, almost always the Perilias are going to end up being the side. So we can add those to 3. I think that's pretty standard now. With most decks, we're probably just wanting to add more hand traps more often than not, unless your deck is a board breaker deck. Obviously, the whole deck building changes. It's knowing what options you have available. We are going for hand traps as our strategy for interacting with our opponent. So we're thinking of every hand trap in the game. If you're going for like your 60 card pile, board breaking kind of thing, the Triff decks, if you will, what you can do is take a list of every board breaker that's in the game. Honestly, you're probably throwing them in the main knowing if it's a Triff deck, but I digress. Have every one of those available to you to look at and see, all right, which one can of these are in the side deck now. So for us, Ghost Bell should probably be in the side. It's good against Yummy. It's good against the mirror match for the trap cards. Good overall hand trap. So could probably have more of those in. Nib. Do we want to play Nib in our deck? At what ratio?
The 3-0. Like card's good going first, good going second into the Yummy variant.
All right.
I think Ghost Bell's like more of a question, to be honest. Like we can like, especially with the space in our side deck.
Okay.
We want to play like 3 Mistaken Arrest or like multiple Fenrir.
Okay. Our deck, an example, card we really don't want to see is Retaliating Say. But we also have blowout cards like Mistaken Arrest. What would you guys value more as your going first card? An answer to the Retaliacy that could be there, or just an overall okay, good, like interactive card like Fenrir, or a blowout card like Mistaken Arrest?
I like Mistaken Arrest more.
Okay.
But I don't think Fenrir is like a bad option or anything. I think, you know, this could also potentially go back to like what tournament you're playing at too.
Okay.
Because something like a regional, you know, something like Fenrir can also be sided going second against some of the more weird matchups.
Okay. Personally, that's why I've been a big fan of Fenrir for the longest time right now. If I don't know what random deck I'm playing against and it's a rogue deck, honestly, Fenrir kind of...
If you're siding for like Mistaken Arrest, like you can probably build your side deck to like play like into Retaliacy a little better with extra Cartesias. Like you don't have to activate a spell to fuse. Like you can probably change your side deck a little bit to like make it so that like you don't have to necessarily play Fenrir in your side deck at all.
Okay.
Just want to play Mistaken Arrest.
Okay. So we got 2 spots left right now. Any other card that we would want to put in? Maybe something that can go first that isn't Mistaken Arrest, because this doesn't hit every deck.
It'd either be like the extra consistency, like Mistaken Arrest, or like Fenrir. I feel like I think Dragon's Mind is like okay, but like Rudra said before, like if you're already playing, you're probably in a good spot anyways.
Okay.
I think Prosperities in this deck seems really fun. I think like if you're trying like it's like good after you combo, it's good to start your turn with.
All right.
Like I think Imperm should probably be in our side deck somewhere.
Okay.
Like at some level, maybe over Bell. I don't really like that card right now.
What about Called by the Grave?
Yeah, I think
Colors are fine. It's a solid going first card.
All right, so let's go ahead and take the bells out and put the imperms in. All right, so going first, we have the 1 Cartesia, the 1 Called by the Grave, the 1 Pot of Prosperity coming in for the 3 Fuas. We also have 3 Mistaken Arrest to be put in those spots instead, or another hand traps instead, when going first against a deck that this would hurt. Also have your other hand traps to be put in to go with everything. Extra deck, we can kind of keep it how it is right now. I like this. I don't really want to add the Exciton Knight. Sanctifier Dragon, I do like. I kind of want to play that, but I also like 2 of this card a lot. So I don't really know what I would want to do. Usually what I like to do in instances like this, where I am choosing between 2 cards, at least in the extra deck, if one of them's a 2 of, I will cut the 2 of and put the other option in the deck. How we will go through it is we will run our test games. In those test games, we will look at our extra deck and say, I'll be on the Sanctifier Dragon is also I'll be on the Branded Dragon when we need it to be. And we ask ourselves over the course of our games that we play, how many times did we wish the Sanctifier was the Branded Dragon? If more often than not that the answer was the Branded Dragon should have been this, then you know what to swap for at the end. Even though we didn't end up doing it with this list, one thing that I'm a huge fan of doing, and Rudra has seen me do this a lot, is an Upstart Goblin. The Upstart Goblin is not actually Upstart Goblin. It's a completely different card. Let's say we are deciding between 2 cards in the main deck and we don't know what we want them to be. They can be completely separate cards. It could be completely separate non-engine, could be completely separate engine, whatever it may be. For this instance, I'll say the Upstart Goblin is either A, the Horn, I'll just put this over here for now, or a second Ecclesia, right? Obviously, these probably wouldn't be the ones we would use in the example, but let's just use them for now just as a, hey, I'm deciding between 2 cards. Well, Upstart Goblin is both of them at the same time. When you draw that card, you'll say, which one is it better here in this instance? And then you kind of write down and see which one would you have preferred. This helped a lot of early game deck building decisions for me when I was getting into things, because I had a hard time picking cards I wanted to, and the best way to do it for me was have a blank card that could be both. So for me, I always picked Upstart Goblin as my blank card. It just made the most sense to me. So if you guys are stuck between 2 cards when picking a deck, try this method out. All right, we have our deck. Now we're going to our next event. We have our deck built. What should we do before we go to that event to make sure that we have the best deck?
Play games. You know, that's like probably one of the most like simple ways to, you know, make sure that everything in the deck actually works. Make sure that, you know, I guess you like how it plays. Learn the matchups better. Is actually just like go and get the reps in.
Yeah, that's honestly the answer. Yeah, just test. Go out and play the deck. You won't know it sucks until you go play. So go ahead, join this duelist pool. We're not going to do it right now because we're not going to record a whole duel during this time. But go into the duelist pool, play a game, get friends that you test with. Play against them. See what cards you hated the most. For some people, locals is where they go to do their testing. They don't like playing on Dueling Book or any of those other simulators. That's fine. If that's where you like to go do your testing, that works for you. But the entire time that you are playing during this time, obviously you're focusing on playing the best that you can. But what we are going to be doing during that is focusing on what we wished we'd had in our deck instead, or what cards we wish had been different. Obviously, I'm terrible at this game, and I've opened 2 trap cards in my test hand. And one way to play the game.
You open full ash. Oh no.
I won the die roll. I'm good. Oh, jeez.
Ah, shit.
I don't know.
Yo, you might not be there.
Might have to play a different deck.
Yeah, you might not be a Draco Tail, bro.
Okay.
Might not be your deck.
Okay. Maybe this is better. I have one way to play the game still. Maybe I should go back to my Magistus cards. Anyways, obviously, you guys go out and play the deck, test it, see if it is working the way you want it. Maybe you didn't want this Droll in your main. Maybe you wished it was a different card. Maybe you wished you didn't play as many Urgula as this deck does, because, you know, we're playing 3 Urgula. There are some people who've cut that down to 2, maybe even 1, depending on the variant of the deck. Go out and see which one you hated the most, which one you liked the most, find your MVP of the deck, kind of go from there. Once you've done that, you'll go back to the drawing board, refine this deck, pick what cards you liked and didn't like. And if there's even a question of like, hey, maybe I should try this out, nothing's stopping you from just trying it. What if you wished these Fallen and the Virtuoses were a different card? What if you wished these Droplets were a different hand trap? Well, let's say I wanted them to be this. I wanted them to be the Perulias, and I want to play 6 Charmies. You're hurting 0 things by just doing this and trying it out and seeing if you like it. And if it comes down to the point where you say, I didn't like it, felt like I wasted my time, you didn't waste your time. You spent time to say, hey, I hated this. This sucked. Now you know you don't want to do it for the future. Any other things you guys want to give as we go into wrapping this up of how you would want to approach building a deck?
I feel like we covered like most of the bases of it. Like, I guess, you know, there could be like if you're trying to build like a rogue deck, it might be a little bit harder than the ways that we kind of explained it. And a rogue deck is the type of deck where, you know, you really gotta put in the time to test and see, you know, the different ways on how you can beat like the meta decks.
I think like picking a road deck is a little more nuanced. Like, I think like a key factor in a good rogue deck is like you're good into the non-engine people are playing rather than like people's engines, because usually rogue decks are like lower quality cards. But if you're good into people's non-engine, you'll like be like relatively fine.
Yeah, that makes all perfect sense to me. I love that advice. Now this is our list. Let's do one last thing for fun. Let's see how close we were to Jesse Kahn's. This is not his. This is his. Well, let's look at his side deck. Okay, we have the Charmies, the Nibs. We have Mistaken Arrest in there. He doesn't, but he has the Fenrirs and the 1 Pankratops. Got the Call by the Graves the same. Did we put in Permanars? Yes, we did. He has Duster, we don't. But we pretty much were pretty close on the deck going off of his template. And just for people at home, there's nothing wrong with copying this. You win no points for being innovative or being different. If you're saying, I want to play this card because I want to do well with this card, that's fine. You're not winning any points doing that if your whole goal is to improve. It's okay to take, hey, this worked. This is a winning deck list. Go play it. It's completely fine. Don't let anyone say, put you down for saying, oh, you net decked or anything like that. No one cares. Your goal here is to get better, to improve, and most importantly, have fun at the same time. All right. I think that's everything. Any last words, guys?
I guess kind of just based off what you just said right there, towards the end, you know, especially if you're like newer at the game, you should definitely be focusing more on getting like your gameplay better, your technical play better, over trying to get like better at deck building.
Yeah. The best thing you can do for yourself is just play Yu-Gi-Oh!
I think with that being said, lastly, let's go ahead and shout out our sponsors. Shout out Dueling Guard, the Card Haven, and Tinfold. Thank you both for joining us today, Rudra and Austin. Shout out the DB Grinder on YouTube. With that, signing off, guys. As always, stay inspired.